This morning on BRN Retirement, improving the Firelands retirement program, part 2 of our conversation. And rejoining me again this morning, Brett Montague is with Firelands Federal Credit Union, and Brian Donahue is with October 3 Consulting. Brett, Brian, great to have you back on the program for part 2 of our conversation this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be back.
Yeah, Brian, I want to ask you, before we get the reaction, and this episode is really going to be about the reaction and how we did. But there was a level of confidence, I understand, when you benchmarked this new plan design against similar employers, which everybody does. You're attracting a workforce. You've got to compare. So how did the plan look, the new plan design, look against similar regional employers?
Yeah, it was a real good test after the fact that we had really covered our bases. Brett gave us a list of 6 relevant employers, mostly banks, other credit unions, with a variety of different types of pension plans. Some had traditional pension, some profit sharing. We went so far as to produce employee communications where we showed the benefit from the Firelands plan that you were going to get, and did a comparison with all of these other organizations out there. It's just a testament to, I think, how careful Brett was in sort of, looking at what we were doing and making sure that we had all our bases covered, that it was going to be a good story. Because frankly, it's still a great retirement benefit. It's not a cheap retirement benefit. And we wanted to make sure, we didn't get, dinged in any way. Employees are often going to be suspicious when you're changing stuff. So we wanted to be really sensitive to that.
So Brett, the communication goes out 6 to 9 months of planning and a transition. Let's start with the workforce, the rank and file, the members. What was the reaction to what they got communicated and the changes?
Yeah, so we decided to do, we did all the communication in person, actually all from me. So we have about 115 FTEs that work here. And we, really had 3 unique groups. The grandfather group, where, really nothing was happening to them. They were staying in the same plan, same benefit. Those were those, longer term employees. We had that middle group that had been here for a while, but really weren't maybe as aged as much as the other. That was kind of our transitional group. And then we had, everybody else, new hires, and then everyone else who wasn't in those groups. And so we really tailored the communication to each one of those, and held small group meetings, and tried to be as transparent as possible. This is where we were, this is what we were trying to accomplish, and this is how we felt we accomplished that, and gave them new projections, and honestly, it was really well received. To Brian's point, I mean, we really weren't out there trying to cut benefits. We really weren't out there trying to save money, and so I think we were able to tell a really good story about the type of plan they were going to have, and all the different ways that it was going to be maybe even better than what we were already providing, because it was more transparent. And so honestly, the communication went really well.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And Brian, in terms of the history and the projections versus the actual, how did the results look in that first year or that first quarter post transition? Did you meet the objectives that were laid out by Firelands?
We're sort of holding our breath, because until you implement the plan, you're really not sure how it's going to go. I will say I was out in Bellevue during Brett's blizzard of presentations. It's great to have the CEO get out there in front of employees. I'm sure that was a big part of why this thing went down so well. I think I might have had 2 questions. I was there all day, but it seemed like Brett sort of taking this thing in hand made a real success out of it. As far as the implementation and the rollout, frankly, a lot kind of depended on what happened in the markets right off the bat, because we were moving from a plan where the company was underwriting that risk to now that risk was moved over to the employee group. And to our good fortune, 2023 and 2024 have both been good years for investments. So, I think yeah, the plan is probably on track with the way we communicated, or probably a little bit ahead, just based on the experience we've had so far. So
That, I mean, it always helps, Brett, to have a good stock market. But you also want to have a good story, and forget the tongue in cheek for a second. You had a really good story. What was the reaction of your colleagues in senior management, the board? Were they pleased? Did they see anything maybe that needed to be adjusted over time? Were there maybe some lessons learned?
You know, yes, to some extent, I think, honestly, I think the biggest lesson that we learned, which is actually what led us to October 3 to begin with, was not to stop asking questions. And so that was really how we ended up, exploring this plan design with October 3, is because actually our current administrator at the time basically had said what we were trying to accomplish wasn't possible. And so it was really just continuing to ask until we got an answer we were looking for. From a board standpoint, I gave them a lot of the same communication that we gave employees. And so we had a lot of the same conversations, and they've always known, because of our income statement during certain years based on interest rates, they've known that this pension plan was something that we were going to have to tackle. And so they were happy to see that come to a resolution where, we have something that's a little more stable in costs and easier to talk to people about. And so, now we're kind of in that, okay, we've rolled it out, we're a little over a year in. And so, how can we make it better? What can we learn for the go forward 2025 and forward? And that's kind of where we are now.
So Brian, I hate to put you on the spot, but how do you make the plan better? I mean, you went through this massive transformation. It's benefited the participants. It's benefited Firelands. Our industry is talking about things like retirement income and other buzzwords. How do you improve upon what Firelands is doing? One, to improve the cost element of this, but also for the end user, the participant, the member.
Yeah, Brett and I actually talked about this just in the past week or so. I was able to get some statistics on how many people are going to our website, are looking at the account balances, and it looks like we're getting something like 20 to 30 a month, but those include multiple people. It looks like probably maybe 15 unique users a month, which is about 10% of the population. And if it's the same 15 people every month, maybe that's not that much reach. But yeah, we're definitely want to make sure that the increased visibility is getting through to participants. Right now, this plan is on a separate website from the 401k plan. And we were talking about how to, in the 401k plan, we think probably attracts, that's a more natural place. So we've done this with other clients. I think in 2025, we want to look at taking this, the cash balance benefit and merging it with what Fidelity's got for the 401k plan here to provide more of a total retirement communication.
Yeah, and that total picture is really, I think, what industry-wide I think people are trying to achieve. Brian, just to kind of tie it all together, IBM relaunched its pension benefit. You and Firelands, or October 3 and Firelands, I would say relaunched their benefit. Is there a message here, a broader message for the industry and other employers out there, that instead of just foregoing the benefit, the defined benefit completely, there is a third rail, there is another way?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. That's sort of a large platform or part of the vision of our company at October 3. People are, when you mention the word pension or defined benefit, employers tend to recoil. Employers that have had experience with them, with the uncertainty, the volatility. Our promise with this design is that's not going to be the experience. That you've got a plan that is, what it costs. It's fairly transparent. And so those are, you can do that in the defined benefit world. I think that's an important message. So we're having a lot of conversations. We think that, maybe a couple decades from now, we'll look back on Firelands as the pioneer of the plan that reshaped America.
There you go, Brett. That's a big. Those are big weights to have on your shoulders, but it's a great story. Brian, Brett, we're going to have to leave it there. Congratulations on your successes together, and we wish you all the best. And we look forward to having you both back on the program again very soon.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
And don't forget to subscribe to our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse, for all the news in one place. Details, of course, at our website. And we're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRN. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.